The team talk was not nice. We went to a park all together. It was like, I've got some news to tell you. And my first thoughts in my mind are getting benched. That's not,
At
but
the
no,
tournament, that wouldn't happen, right?
but no, it was that Simple had some problems with documents, and he will most likely not be joining us. And yeah, we just had to play the 4v5. Of course, we're not happy. I was so ready. I was so prepared for the tournament. I was super happy to play CS2, but then we had to play in a disadvantage.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, trend. It's a good vibe, trend. It's a good vibe, trend. Good vibe, trend.
Hello and welcome to HLTV Confirmed. Another week, another episode. We're back here to talk to JL this time. Very interesting. There's a kind of a situation going on a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, but maybe we don't talk about that. We obviously have Striker here, and we have our amazing sponsors to thank before we go into anything. 22bet SteelSeries, amazing, both of them. We're not going to go into all of the details, but they're amazing. They're amazing, and that's it. And I'm not forgetting the one last sponsor, that is Tradeit.gg. Thank you all. And I wasn't feeling there at all. I was 100% sure of who I was talking about. But yeah, guys, how are you feeling?
Feeling great.
You're always feeling, man. You're always feeling great. I feel like there's impossible for you not to feel great.
It is true. I'm grateful for everything I'm getting right now and doing. I don't know, everything feels super fun. It's my first time with HLTV Confirmed. Should have been a while ago, but now I'm here and I'm super stoked to do it.
Amazing. Obviously, people are asking where is Sponge. Sponge is still in Australia. Sponge is vibing, 100% Australia vibe, and I can't blame him. Honestly, I would do the same. I'm currently in the Nordic countries, and the sun sets at 3 p.m. It's not great. I would rather be in Australia, temperature and weather-wise. So hope he enjoys it. I think he'll be back in maybe the next episode. I think that's kind of the plan, but we'll see. Maybe he just stays there forever. That's also fine.
I replace Bungie.
That's good. You're just in Australia, right?
Yes. Well, so I know the vibes. Honestly, Sydney was one of the best cities I've ever been to.
Yeah, a lot of people say that.
It was so good. I've never seen a city like that. It had a lot of parks. It had the city. It had a lot of culture. The people were super nice. The food was amazing. There was not a single place where I went and the food was bad. Even the fast food was great. Everything was so good. There was not a single thing I could complain about. Maybe the SL admins, but that's
you know what's funny, actually, because I'll just get into it now because I just saw a viewer question when I was going through the post, which is like asking people to ask some questions, and somebody said, where is this?
Does he have any advice on not getting frustrated during a game to maintain level-headedness to play well, especially because he handled the headband situation really well?
I was surprised. It looked so good on camera because inside I was burning. I was so mad, and I thought that I'm gonna look so bad on camera. People are gonna tell me, "Oh my God, you're so out of line because you got tilted of the headband. It's the rules, all that stuff." And then I look, I wasn't even that bad. I mean, I was tilted for sure. It took me like 3 or 4 rounds to reset. I took it like a champ. I mean, I don't mind the rule for sure. I understand no head garments. Okay. I mean, I've played 6 tournaments with that headband, but it's fine.
Nobody
he did
cared
it-
until then.
Yes, and then mid-round he comes up and taps my shoulder and, "Hey, could you take off the headband?" And at first I didn't hear him. Like, is something urgent going on? I took off my earphone like this, and he goes, "Can you take off your headband?" Oh, I flipped because it was mid-round communicating information. But yeah,
That's kind of silly.
That's not a very good way to handle the situation, by the way, just to do it mid-round, like I understand if
Yeah.
there's like between rounds or whatever.
Before we go any further, let's officially roll the bumper and go into the hot seat and then talk more with JL. Yeah, let's rewind a bit. Obviously, the Sydney thing is kind of recent. You're in NAVI now, but there's I don't recall at least any like big interviews about like your kind of career and kind of how you came up in the scene. But apparently, it's all up because of Heku. This is what I'm hearing.
Yes, I think the beginning was because of Heku. Okay, so the first team I joined, Mad Lions, Heku was one of the main people that recommended me. I'm pretty sure she was either the only one or the main one. And Mad Lions was an interesting team, to be honest. They used to test their players with like psychology tests. It's not about how well they played or whatever, because for me, they couldn't judge me by how well I played because I didn't have many HLTV games or there was no history for me. So they used the psychological test that's been used for athletes, and I crushed it. And just because of me, they decided they want to get a 6-man roster. Try working it out. At first, I trialed as an opper, but then they had the Borat weekend Tutsan. So Kuben said, "You can go for a rifler. Would you like that?" Yes, of course. Mad Lion's a great team. I'd like to go for a rifler. Because back then I didn't know anything about Team CS, and I don't mind opper or rifler. For me, it's just a gun that you shoot with.
What
And
was
yeah.
on that? What was on that test? Like what kind of questions?
I don't actually remember, but it was to judge your coachability, how well you handle stressful situations, and they were like quick fire questions. The faster you answer, the better, because it's more of your instinct. And I scored really well, like the top 1%.
Well,
So that was Kuben was coaching there, as you said, but there's also the coaching, like the mental coaching staff. I know like Mad Lions was pushing a lot of that, especially with the 6-man roster, but in general, they are doing a lot of these things. So what is that like, especially for you coming from kind of no teams into this, like I would say like from 0 to 100 in terms of
Yes.
this whole aspect?
I thought I was way better than I was, and they took some. It was like a slap in the face when I joined. I had no idea how to play Team CS. I was struggling mentally in the game, and I think I was playing all the maps at first, and after I was performing really bad, Kuban switched me to 2 maps. I remember our talk. We both cried. It was a hard decision for both of us, and I wanted to quit so bad. My ego was hurting. Everything was going so bad, and you know what? I decided, okay, I'll give it my last shot. If I don't perform on the 2 maps I'm playing, screw it. I'll leave it. I'll get benched, whatever. This game is not for me. I was watching demos. I was going into offline server checking plays, and then suddenly I started performing way better. And I was getting praise from Kuben, Martina, the teammates. Okay, working hard is nice. You can see the results pretty fast. And so I put back on as the main 5th. And yeah.
What do you think about that setup overall? Like how it affects you psychologically, maybe because you scored so well in that test, maybe you're not the type of a person to get so tilted by it in the end, but what do you think about that as a kind of like as a way to run a team in general, to get people on, like get them to be more motivated, and stuff like that?
I think the motivation part comes from yourself, but I think it's not that motivation that drives you. It's the discipline that keeps you going. And you cannot stay motivated for a long period of time. Of course, you'll lose motivation. And especially if you're having bad results, you just want to quit for sure. I think everyone has the instinct to, when it's going wrong, to just push it away and try to relax or take your mind off it. But truly, I think it's a discipline that carries you over. The hard steps in life, like the black days you have, no matter what day you have, if you put in the same amount of work that you would put on a happy day, you're going to be successful for sure.
Was that something you took with you, to now?
That was actually what I learned pretty recently, to be honest, because I was always looking for that this never-ending happiness where like I'm happy and the game feels smooth, it feels good. I just want to play. Then sometimes you're not feeling the game, you're not hitting shots, and then you're getting owned. And then you have to you have to have a solid foundation to, when you're not performing well or you're not shooting heads as you're used to, you can fall back on the foundation and play at 100%.
How did you come to these conclusions? Is it mostly from the coaching kind of in Mad Lions, or did you have to do things on your own?
I think it's more on my own. I mean, of course, the coach can help you with in-game stuff, sometimes mentally, but you should never expect to have mental help from a coach, like a CSGO coach, especially from a guy like Blade. He's an analyst, an analytical coach, and he knows a lot about the game. He can help you with the game, but the mental struggles, you'd probably have to find a guy to help you with it. And yeah, Kuban was quite good at keeping me in touch regarding the mental aspect. As soon as I would get out of line, he'd tell me, hey, that was out of line. You should reconsider your behavior. I'm like, okay, sorry, my bad.
What was the most annoying tech issue at a tournament that you had? We already spoke about these non-tech issues at tournaments. What about tech issues?
Actually, I've not experienced many tech issues. Maybe one of the most annoying ones. Whenever you go play, and if your friend list is not full, you can get a lot of friends requests spammed into your Steam, and they pop up. You cannot really remove them,
Right.
and they also make a sound. So that's why I have my friend list request full, and I think they patched it. Not patched, but ESL found the loop how to fix it. So that's annoying.
Banks saying in chat that you broke a desk at G8.
Oh, the desk was broken already. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, it was really annoying. Yes, we had like, I don't know, 45 minutes to get ready, and you know how long the table was getting fixed? 45 minutes.
So did you warm up on the ground, like like prone, laying down, a bit of deathmatch?
I shot like 50 bots, and that's it, because I was like, okay, hurry up, we have to go. We're already being late. Gamer's schedule was not the best.
So we're talking about Mad Lions. After that, your career or your teams. Obviously, Apeks is kind of where you break out, and after a few, I don't know, they were searching for players for a while, and I think when you came in with Kiksan, that kind of changed the team completely. So can you tell me about that period, like going into Apeks?
The start, okay. Should I talk about the start with Shocks, or just skip to the Kiksan part?
I mean, we can. That was also when Stiko was IGLing, so that felt like, that didn't feel like a good period for the team overall.
No, it was not a good period. I can tell you that much.
What went down? What went wrong in this iteration?
Well, obviously not having an in-game leader was quite tough, because Stiko as a person is not an in-game leader type of person. I'm not saying he's not a hard worker, but he's not a leader. He's kind of an introvert, staying on the side, doing his own things, never involving himself into stuff. So it was quite tough for him to be strict or just have a voice in the team, because he's more of a reserved guy. And I'm not gonna go into Shocks.
Okay.
That's
Uh,
enough, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, but then everything kind of changed quite quickly, and
Yes.
with Kickson coming in and him being like kind of an unknown quantity. Like he played a lot of these online tournaments and stuff like that with the Macedonian team, but nothing really that would imply, okay, this guy is gonna be, a sick up and coming IGL. So how did you even find him, and like how did you decide to go with him?
Ooh, so we did trials for in-game leaders. In tier 1, you don't really do trials, but we're doing trials for in-game leaders, and it was a hectic period, I can tell you. For
You
like
also
1
had
month.
Bentet and Mihu playing and stuff like
Yes.
that.
Yes, we trialed Bentet also. Mikko was just a stand-in. He always was up for to play matches, HLTV games. But Bentet, he was a nice guy. Didn't work out. Just didn't fit the vibe of the team. They were good friends with Jacob, but it didn't turn out to be much. So we did trials for in-game leaders. It's one of the most stressful things ever. Because an in-game leader, they have to show what they can, they have to organize and all that stuff. So every single time we join a new trial, it lasted for like 3 or 4 days each trial, maybe like a week sometimes. And they would have to implement a new system, and we would be asking them questions. Hey, what do you think about this play? Do you think it's good or not? What's the reaction? All that stuff.
How does that go? Like, do you start in-game leader trials with like a day of theory, or like with the day of where they show like, okay, well, this is how I want to play, or how does that go? It feels like you can't just go into practice
Yeah,
and
for sure
start,
not.
showing.
So Kuban and the in-game leaders had their own separate talks, how they want to do the theory, blah, blah. And then they would just start today with like a 2-hour theory session. Be like, okay, we're playing Mirage now. I would like us to do this and this, not adding a lot of stuff. And then later down the line, we can add some more stuff. We would be choosing maps that were easy to call. But then we realized maybe it's not the best. We should pick a harder map. So we're playing maps like Nuke and Inferno and all that stuff. Yeah. Nuke for me, have you just nuke rating? It's the worst. And I have no idea why. In practice, I'm doing good. I understand the map to a decent level, but in official games, I can never perform.
So, what is the position like? Why do you struggle?
I mean,
What's the difference between a prac and an official? It can't be just like fragging. Do people just like go on your position too much, or they
no,
avoid you, or what's the?
it's very rare they come to A site.
Yeah.
Maybe even officials. The worst part of it being an A player in Nuke is you can be 100% ready and they will not come. And then once the moment you're caught slacking, they just run out, kill you, and they're like, oh, that was my chance to kill 2 or 3. That's my chance to get back on the board. And then made a mistake, we lost a round, and someone's screaming at your ear. Not good.
Who's screaming in your ear?
Alexi. I'm joking. Alexi is such a calm dude. He would never scream. But it's just the mental pressure you put on yourself. I lost a round. This round's on me. You have to deal with that stuff.
No, I mean, at the end of these, all of these trials for the IGL, what did you see that you're like, okay, this is the guy that we're going for?
I think we're looking for a smart guy ready to do some not risky plays, but be innovative. Try to create something that works for the team, and it's not like it's his way of playing. It would try to look for someone who can implement their players, give them appropriate tasks, all that stuff. And Kixon was a really good in-game leader. I think what he was doing at such a young age, it was amazing. He was on the meta all the time. He was checking the demos. He knew what he was doing for sure.
Yeah, I mean, going into the major itself, I think it was like a kind of an interesting trajectory for your team, because like even at the RMR, it was like, you guys are kind of an interesting team. Maybe you go through, maybe you don't. So you go through, and then you go to the major, and it's like, maybe you go through the first stage, and it's like constantly like just surpassing expectation time after time. So like how did that come together? Like at what point did it kind of switch for you guys to be like, okay, we're okay. We qualified for the RMR finally after like the shocks thing where it was like you couldn't pass the open qualifiers if I remember correctly. So it was like complete disaster. And now like things are going well, but then it's like at what point you're like, things are really going well. Like what's going on here, you know?
I think we realized when things are going really well, I mean, we expected to qualify to the major, but we're like, it's not 100%. You know, it's like if we play good, we'll make it, but we have to get to a sort of extent lucky. But we realized we're playing really good when we first a challenger stage, and we're doing really well. We're playing calm, we're playing our game, we're not affected by the pressure. Like, okay, wow, we can really go far in this tournament. And I think it took some time to find a tournament that really touched us from within. I'm not sure how to put it into the right words. We're playing a lot of online tournaments, and you know, they don't create a lot of adrenaline in you. They don't make you make that extra step. But the major, when you're talking about playing in front of the biggest crowds I've ever played in front of, it does kick that. You have to make that extra step to perform at your best.
Does somebody drive that, or is it just like coming from within everybody, like individually, or like where does that come from, really?
I think it comes from each and every one of us, because a player like Jacob has been to many majors. He's been to this. Playing online tournaments for him, I would understand it's not the best. Of course, he's like getting the money and he's playing with a team, but it's not something you get really excited about. And a player like Nok as well, he's been here for a long time. I would imagine it's the same for him, Stiko. And we just needed something to motivate us. During online tournaments, I was trying to motivate the boys, but with the major, you didn't have to.
I think Dimitri, if you can pull up the clip that I shared before in the chat, it's today is 6 months since the legendary comeback against your today teammate Alexi B. 13-2 was it the half on Ancient on the
Yes,
on the
yes,
last
it
map,
was.
and then overtime, and yeah, and then you won. So what does what does this memory bring back?
I was actually watching it today. It brought goosebumps, and then I remembered my girlfriend was also watching me qualifying to the playoffs, and I turned on her previous clips. I watched it, and I kind of started crying because it was a beautiful moment. Because at this point, 14-3 on Ancient, we were believing we're still gonna win. We know it's gonna be rough, but we just had to believe, trust in each other, and play, and we did that, and we won. And with each round getting into our hands, we were realizing that they were playing scared. They're not playing like they played before to get those 14 rounds. They just wanted to play too careful, too coordinated. And against a team like us, at that point, it was really tough because we were really good at breaking the plan. And we did that. We broke their plan.
So that was the key. It was because people are always going to say when this happens, like, "Ah, it was a choke," you know, and almost as if anything you guys did was kind of irrelevant because, like, NIP choked, but it doesn't really work like that. I mean, if they choked and you just played like shit, I think they would still win, right?
But it was also, didn't it also start with like kind of a big lead for NIP on Vertigo that you ended up coming back from or something?
We came back both maps.
Is that but did you take that to Ancient as well? Like, I mean, it's just that the sort of mentality when you see yourself like come back from like a big lead, or like the other way around, obviously.
I was honestly not expecting us to win Vertigo, and the fact that we came close, it was super good, and then we even win that map. Whew. It gave us a lot of confidence. But yeah, I think we got overconfident at one point because we win Vertigo. Wow, Apeks wins Vertigo? Never in a million years. Wait, did we play? Yes, we did play Vertigo.
Yeah,
against
it was
NIP.
Vertigo.
Yeah.
It was the first one.
And we, yeah, in important games, well, was seemed to win Vertigo, and we never practiced that map. I mean, we did a couple of times, but yeah.
So did you when you joined NAVI, did you talk to Alexi B about this game?
We did, but he doesn't want to talk about it.
That's not a surprise.
I mean, understandably so.
I feel like that was one of the, obviously from your side, amazing. From their side, one of the roughest losses for, I mean, kind of the end of Alexi B and that team. So obviously,
And
it was
good. This had to happen, so I could play with him now.
I mean that's it's a kind of a funny story how these little results affect the future of everything. And obviously Navi had their own journey, and then ended up like playing phase in the last game, so they lost that, and then more changes in
And
that
then
team
they
as well.
decided, okay, we need to get the JL and XCB to get to playoffs.
Yeah,
And EMA, of course.
of course. But yeah, that's
Here's something I wanted to ask about the major, actually, because everybody was talking about how like all the underdogs ended up in Vitality's path, and that's how they won the major. You guys were probably the ones that took them the furthest, kind of on both maps. You had a good
We're
chance
supposed to
on
win
both of them.
Mirage.
That's exactly what I'm kind of getting to. Like this, especially like seeing them kind of go on this run. And this was the semifinals, right? That you played them in.
Yeah.
So like had you made the final, that would have been a really good chance for that major. Does that sting now? Seeing that, okay, they destroyed everybody, but you guys had a chance.
It doesn't really sting. I mean, it does sting. Even if we win Mirage, we don't know if we're winning the game. But maybe we had a different mentality coming into Vertigo. They were both close maps, both 6 and 12 or something like this.
16-14, 16-12. I was just looking back.
Oh yeah, so Mirage was 16-14. Crazy.
Yeah.
But that was the pressure that got to us, for sure. And on the Vertigo, it broke our spirits a little bit. I might not be able to, maybe not allowed to talk about it, but we're not on the good side. Some people were tilted. Some people were affected by the loss, or maybe by some of the crucial mistakes made on Mirage, and it was way tougher to play Vertigo than Mirage.
Mm-hmm. Does it, when people talk about like the major, you were talking about it earlier, not really feeling the major pressure and that allowing you to perform. At what point, like, did that change in that series at some point, and was that because of you guys, or do you feel like it's just Vitality were a better team and were able to expose you a little bit more?
I think Vitality was a better team, of course. You cannot take that away from them, but I think we played really well, considering we're like a tier 2 team coming out of nowhere. We played some good CS, but it's just that we had little to no experience. Like me and Kixan on the big stage, we had none. Even though we coped well with it, but sometimes it affects your decisions in game, and that cost us Mirage for sure.
Tell me more about that, because that's kind of I feel like it's such an interesting topic, and people always kind of from the outside, like talent, will talk about it. Oh, it's a big stage game, but when you talk to players, it's always kind of undersold, and they say, it doesn't really matter. I just look at the screen and these kind of things. But we know from watching the game that it's not that simple. Like it is.
It's not simple, of course.
So how does it affect you? Yeah.
People say what they want to be. So if, for example, a player says, the stage doesn't affect me at all, he wants to believe that it doesn't affect him at all. And it's one of those things that you tell yourself, and eventually it will come into fruition. Maybe you don't feel it as much. Maybe you don't say, it's the stage pressure, but you're still kind of, what's the word? You don't feel primarily affected, but your subconscious is making different decisions according to where you're playing, and you just need to experience that. No matter how cold your nerves are, how good you are of a CS player, and if it's your first time on stage, you'll make a few mistakes. It's just your decisions; they don't come as fast.
Yeah. What about the technical side? Is there anything that you figured out playing on the stage the first time, being like, oh well, the communication or stuff like that? Does it change something?
Honestly, I was surprised how well we could hear each other. It was the crowd was loud. You can hear the crowd, but you can also hear yourself. The crowd was loud, but we were louder in TeamSpeak. So the noise cancellation was really well done there. And my whole life I've been hearing, it's on land. You can run. They will not hear your steps. But it wasn't true. We're hearing steps. Maybe at some points when it's getting chaotic, when Zywo does like 3 kills with P250, okay, then maybe you don't hear anything. But other than that, it was all fine.
People have been saying good things about. I mean, these were the ace zones, no? Like the headset that is now being used kind of everywhere, right? Or am I crazy? Maybe that wasn't the case at the Blast Major.
It was. They're still using the same headsets, but there are 2 headsets. One has one are like round cups, and the other are like square cups. And in Sydney, because we're so close together, we're using the round cups, and they were so uncomfortable. They do not fit well on your ear. The microphone is bad. They're just a bad quality headset, and you for sure can hear more with a round cup than with a square cup. And when I tell the tournament organizers, "Hey, this headset is not as good as the previous one. We don't even have a crowd in front of it. In front of us, why are we using this one? Because it's better noise cancellation." But it's not. So it's kind of, yeah.
Well, heard the feedback is out there now. You need to send in a written complaint. You need to make it loud, because this is the first time I didn't even pay attention that they're like different types. So I had no idea that that's even a thing. So slowly but surely push the agenda, and you're gonna have your comfortable headsets everywhere. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, you finished the major, 3rd to 4th. I think overall insane result, and then pretty much after that you're off to NAVI. There's no real. I don't think there is a lot of thinking that you're gonna stay. Right, the offer came, and after a few weeks, it was kind of a done deal.
Yeah. I mean, when we had some talks with Blade, I mean, even before the talks with Blade, I knew I wanted to join NiKo. It's kind of been the dream team. But I was really surprised how many teams were interested in me after the major. Because at the major itself, I did not pull off a great performance. During the RMR and the Challenger stage, yes. But the Legend stage and the playoffs, I had like 0.95 rating or something. I felt that I was not playing to my best, and that's a stage experience. I'm a little bit affected by the pressure. And I'm not ashamed to say it, of course. I mean, I was focusing on too many things, and I was doing social media as well, doing interviews. Maybe I put on too much on myself at that time. That's what cost me my performance, and also was a bit focused on supporting the boys that were around me. I took it a bit too serious. Maybe I read some comments online. Oh, look how good they perform when he screams and shouts, and I was just focusing on let's scream and shout. That makes them play better. But I mean, it turned out to be really good.
I mean,
it was the key.
I
Maybe
mean,
I was supposed to drop 0.9.
Obviously, we had Stico recently on the show, and he was talking about the time and after you, and he essentially said like there was that interview where he said like that they can replace JL on the team, and he kind of expanded on that now, saying like, yeah, we can replace him as a player, but like as a personality on the team, we didn't really replace him on Apeks. So like that, just having an outgoing guy that it's more talkative, that gets like team spirits up, is something that they did miss after you left. So I mean, I can't. It's not something we can objectively judge through like stats or anything like that. But it does seem to like check out if the person that's in the team or was in the team like says the same thing, right? It doesn't need much more than that. I think we can like check this off as fact, as close to fact as possible. So obviously you were bringing something. And but yeah, you said a lot of interest. Why do you think there was that much interest, if not because you said like the performance itself wasn't that great?
And I think it's because of my personality. Teams need a player who kind of takes the face of the team, and maybe people saw me as a potential like being the face of the team. And also, I had a lot of potential to improve because my career is super short. And I mean, I was showing good results. But during the major, I sucked, which blew my confidence so hard. After the major, I'm like, okay, we got semifinals, but I was not part of that. And I had such a mental struggle after the major. My girlfriend remembers when she was there for me.
So what you felt like you were carried to the result?
Yes, 100%. Like our playoffs games, I think lost every single time, and I didn't feel like I was playing my game. I was like, ooh, I was blaming everything besides myself. And yeah, it took a toll on me for sure after the major.
I was gonna say, I feel like people maybe like the narrative was kind of like, okay, JL carried the team to that major. Like people were kind of almost retrospectively like misremembering the major in general, just because of the interest that was around you. Did you feel like that as well, like from the community, what the perception was about you after the major?
Yes, I mean, I understand when people say, "Oh, he's a funny guy, nice personality, bumps the team up," but they're saying, "Oh, I hope he recovers his major form." What form? What form? Ime had a great major form, not me. I mean, I had like 1.2 leading up to the legend stage, and then I just dropped completely out of nowhere.
How do you deal with that? Also, I just as a side note, like you're saying all of these things, like, oh, I was carried, doesn't matter, but like Dupree at the major wasn't insane, you know. He didn't have like an insane major, but he won the major, and everyone's like, Dupree, 5-time major winner, legend, greatest, blah blah. No one really cares about the fact that he maybe, you know, obviously he had Zaiwu on the team, had Spinks and all of these players, so that did more in the actual games. You know, the results is what matter. It's a team game, as all of you
Yes.
players say, so it doesn't really matter then. But how do you go about like recovering mentally from that?
It took some time, for sure. I mean, I still love the game, but I was just trying to figure out what's wrong, because I was doing so good. The team strength didn't change. The position we played again didn't really change. Everyone's pretty much playing at the same level, and I realized that sometimes you need to take credibility for the not the actions, but the results you show in game. You cannot be unlucky. Something cannot be responsible for you playing bad. It's your responsibility. And yeah, it took some time to realize that maybe I'm not as bad as I'm thinking, but I realized the problem and I tried to work on it. That was my mental.
Do you
How
have
much
any?
did that? No,
Yeah.
I was just gonna ask, how much did the NAVI offer and generally the interest around you help with that? You know, like obviously, maybe you end the major thinking, okay, I got carried, but then you have all these teams coming after
Yes,
you, and you're like, well, maybe I wasn't so shit.
I had the most offers out of the team by far, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's really good. Maybe they're not looking at just the major performance. I
I
mean,
like that you guys like compare, like, oh, I got an offer for this team. Oh, I have this. It's just like Pokemon cards. Oh, I have this
yes,
guy.
we're like a family there, and I mean, I'm not gonna say who got offer and from where, but we shared where we got offers from, and once I said Navi, and they're like, okay, he's
You
leaving.
won.
He's leaving. Yeah, I remember the reaction. I was like, oh, Navi, that's sick. And yeah, we tried to play tournaments after that, but people were sure I was leaving to Navi, even though
Just checked
nothing was
out,
signed
right?
yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer. You cannot get mad at me for leaving to Navi.
No, of course not. I mean, your contract was also about to end, right?
Yeah,
So there would have
20
been
days.
well.
Oh, so you went kind of for free. It wasn't like
Yeah.
easy.
There were
That's
speculations I was worth 450,000.
I saw that, and I was like, but it was even public. I think that when Apeks signed you for how long and stuff like that, and I was like,
Yes.
just look at this. Like, this is not possible.
So,
Like that
I-
you and Ima wasn't the rumor that you and Ima cost like $1 million total or something like that, right?
1.3 million total.
There
I
you
think I
go.
was 450 and he was 900. What organization would pay 450K for 20 days left on the contract? That's like
Yeah.
20K per day. Worth more than simple at this point.
Yeah, that
I
was
don't,
crazy
I
even
don't
from like
remember
public
that. But
information, you know, because that you just have to like put two and two together, and you're like, well, maybe that's not true.
And it was done by a credible news outlet. Yeah.
I think it
don't
was
know.
one of the Russian sites. No, like just I don't want look. No, I'm not gonna misappropriate this because I don't remember which one it was.
I'm
But
pretty sure it was Dusty US.
I think they
No.
took it over as like
Yes.
okay,
Yeah,
but it was
that
like
is-
originally from somebody
Oh,
else
yeah,
because
yeah.
they wouldn't post something like that.
Navi paid 2,000 million for JL, says the guy in chat. I think that's
That's
pretty
2
accurate.
billion.
2 billion. 2 billion Turkish lira. But yeah, that was a kind of a shocking development in general. Like we thought that transfer period was crazy, but now we're getting one that's maybe kind of the same. But essentially just Navi going international, you coming on, and just that whole team coming together. So like when you were approached, did you know what the rest of the team was, or did they just say like
No.
it's Navi, and you're obviously like, okay, I'm signing.
You know what was
And then you
super fun?
come to the team, and no Simple, no
I knew Simple was gonna be there. It was enough for me to join. But the funny thing is, we started the interview in Russian, and after like 5 minutes, I was struggling to speak in Russian. I was pressured, so it was not as fluent as it would usually be. And he said, "Okay, let's switch to English now." I'm like, for what reason? I was switching to English. I'm like, and then I pieced the puzzle. Oh, wait, we're planning to go international.
So they
Well-
didn't even tell you; they just said that.
Yes. I mean, after like 40 minutes of discussion, yes, but
That's kind of interesting. Like, because obviously, yeah, you do speak Russian. You say like not 100%, but like you can speak it. So going into the team is like, oh, maybe I got an offer just because of this, right? But it didn't really turn out that way.
yeah.
So when did you find out about what the rest of the team is looking like and the teammates?
I think it was after like 2 weeks of our talks. I'm pretty sure Navi was debating on which in-game leader to sign. I'm really happy they went with this one. Because the other one, I don't think we would vibe as well or even show good results. I think it would be
Okay.
a mismatch for the team.
I'm trying to remember who was rumored in my brain. I only remember like the Nexa rumor,
Yeah.
but I don't think that was. I don't know how much truth there was to that, so can't really say.
Me neither.
You can blink twice if it was Nexa.
I cannot say.
There's literally no blinking. He can't blink. JL can't blink. That's why he's
Full focus.
That's why he has such good reaction time. That's the key to it. But yeah, you get this lineup. You get the Lexi B. You get Simple, and let me just remember how the tournaments. Oh, you did Blast Group Stage into IEM Cologne,
Yeah.
into Gamers 8. So like kind of a very busy start, I would say, for the team. How was that kind of crash landing into this international project with I would say pretty high expectations because it's Navi and it's Simple. So like the expectation is always number one in the world, regardless of anything else. But it's realistically a completely different team, right?
Yes, it's a new roster, new language. Like the language was not new for us, but the system was new. And for the Ukrainian guys, it was the new language. So we both had big changes in our game. So I mean, we're not expecting to be a good team since day 1 or day 30 or day 90. It was a long-term project that we all knew and understood that it should be a long-term project. But of course, sometimes our competitive nature got the better of us and we still wanted to be the best.
I remember, like, I did an interview with Simple. Like, this was like a couple of months down the line. I don't remember if it was. I don't remember which tournament this was before, but he was talking about how. I think it was during Pro League or something. He was talking about how he needed to kind of adjust his mentality because, like, from the start, Blade was like, "Okay, you guys just play however you like to play, and then we'll figure out how to make it work together." Is that the sort of vibe that happened at the beginning? That it was fairly loose and just figuring out what the style of the team was going to be and how everybody would fit together?
I think it was more of a 50-50. You cannot just freestyle the game and expect it's gonna work, but I think we'd get like guidelines by Blade, and of course they're really good guidelines. And we'd have to play around them. We'd have some foundation build, and then we would add on top of that foundation, make something work. And maybe it was not the best at the start to play like that because we're missing a lot of key fundamentals. And if we spoke about them, I think it would be a much better result because we're all great individual players.
But do you think you had time for that with the busy schedule that was there?
No, we had no time to prepare. I mean, our body requires rest as well. And if we pushed for more stuff, it would be really bad for us. So it was not possible.
In terms of playing in the Navi Blade system, what was the most, I would say, difficult thing, or what is the biggest kind of novelty to you coming into Navi?
How well he understands CSGO, CS in general. Like every single nade and util you throw, there's a reason for it, and I never knew that. I mean, okay, you can flash here, you can money there, but every single piece of util gives information to the enemy team. And if the enemy team is good at reading the util, they might have an understanding of what you're doing on the map. So sometimes you should think about the util you throw and when you throw it, maybe to mix up the opponent or to make them misread the situation. And I had no idea, so it was quite tough to relearn the utility usage, because I thought I was not bad at it, but I realized I was terrible. It was giving up a lot of information to the enemy team, and a team like NAVI was easily picking up the tells from by the util. For me, that was like, wow, mind blowing.
Is it just the part of, like everybody says, when they make the move to tier 1, that the biggest difference is kind of the level of prep that everybody does, know how much game plan creation there is ahead of the games? Was that the case for you as well, or?
No, I don't think we did a lot of game planning, to be honest. We did game prep for the enemy team, but it's more of how we adapt our game to their playstyle, how to find the gaps. So we have an analyst for that, we have a blade for that, and we're not really looking to counter them or look for specific things. It's just in NAVI you learn to play kind of a style and you adapt to it. That's what we're trying to do with the opposing team. And if you do your style well enough, and you have the ability to adapt to the enemy team, kind of understand how they work as a team, you'll find the gaps and understand how to outplay them. But it's a hard skill to learn. It takes a lot of time, especially for players like me, who are inexperienced.
I mean, just rewinding to the blade utility thing, like in my brain, I'm trying to like imagine how this goes, but I feel like it's like post match or post a prac. You're like, blade sits down with you. It's like, okay, let's watch some of your rounds, and he's like, okay, pause now. So you're throwing like a flash or a smoke. You're throwing a smoke on Inferno or something, and he's like, why did you throw this smoke? And you're like, I'm smoking CT, and you're like, yes. But why are you throwing this exact smoke? And you're like, well, I'm smoking CT. What do you want? And then that's kind of how he, I would say, in my mind, this is like how he drills you to be like, okay, try to think why you're doing like exactly this way.
Yeah.
Am I on the right track of how it looks?
Similar to it, but I think we do it for the whole team, because it's kind of a system that we're trying to implement everyone in together. And of course, if one player is lacking, then sure, you can take him aside and be like, oh, what do you think about this util? What I like about Blade is he always makes you think. He never gives you the answer straight away. You have to think and you have to get to it. I love this about him so much. I think it's one of his best traits, honestly. And so yeah, he does the information for the team. And if you want something extra, you can always ask him. He's always down to talk CS with you.
Yeah. Even if you're not on the team, I feel like he's down to talk CS. I don't know about the other things. Never spoke to him about other things, but about CS, he's always very, very open and interested to hear stuff and to talk about it. But yeah, that's I think like the just generally the idea about like asking questions more so than telling people what to do. That's for the most people, that's like the way to go, right? Because that's how because he can't explain to you every smoke and every flash how to use and why to use it. Like you need to think for yourself and understand the scenarios, especially in game, which is like so, I don't want to say so random, but like infinite amounts of scenarios can happen, and you just need to kind of make a judgment call on what makes sense and not be like, okay, Blade told me to throw this flash at this moment.
He hates scripts. He hates scripting your game. He does not like that, and I do not like that either, because it removes the ability to adapt to the game. Because if you're doing the same stuff over and over, you will never find the gap in their defense. You know what I mean?
But that's very funny, because there was this whole idea that Blade is kind of, you guys have these like big papers. You come with the papers, everything printed out. So there's this whole idea that like, when Boomich was still on the team, that was just like Blade just gave them a script and they would run that script, how to play at the side.
No. The thing is, every single player in NAVI is responsible for their own T side. And if you're good, you'll make it work. If you're not, of course, NAVI is going to struggle. And Blade is not like that. What we have on paper, I'm going to leak it. We just have rounds. Like if we have a scripted round where we need to know what we're doing. That's what it says in the
just
paper.
the strat, right? Not
Yeah, just the strat. So
obviously
you
a
just
script,
remember
yeah.
he is doing this, you're doing that, and that's it. It's not like, when it hits 1 minute 25 seconds, be ready to throw that flash. No, just a general reminder what we're doing around.
Does that also? I mean, that must also include the info about the other team, right?
Yeah, we have where they play on top of the list. So we should play the team like Vitality. Okay, Zai was playing the op. Okay, Apeks is playing Connector and Mirage, and all that stuff.
Okay. I mean, how often do you check that during a game? Like, just throw a number out there. I'm curious about how often you look down and you're like, okay, what do I have to do?
Honestly, my past few tournaments, 0. I have no idea what to have it around. Yes.
So that means that you know everything that's going on, so you don't need to check. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And
so that...
if for me, if I check the paper, I'm doubting in my own memory. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do in that moment? And when you just have to understand around what's going on, and then you piece the puzzle where you have to go.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I remember it by hand. Like, so if we play around like OG, for example, I know I have to go there, and I tend to try to not script myself to, okay, I have to go there and do this and do this. You play according to the situation.
Okay. So I'm curious about this, okay? Because I actually had a conversation with my girlfriend about this topic that people are now way more they come into matches with a lot of prep and they have it all in front of them, being able to read off everything that whatever their staff team puts in front of them. They don't really have to memorize anything as or at least not to the same degree as they would have otherwise, if they didn't have access to documents in front of them, and when you're playing from home, you can just always check an Excel sheet or whatever it is, with all the info that you need. I know that maybe I'm asking the wrong person because NAVI is one of those teams that does that quite a lot. But what do you think about how this affects the game and how autonomous players are able to be nowadays? Because if people prep everything in front of you, that means maybe you are not using your own skill set so much, and maybe you are and maybe it's also detracting from the game, that everything is could become too scripted, let's say.
Me personally, I don't like scripts. I think it takes away the beautiful part of the game is figuring out the situation yourself and acting according to what's the best in that situation. Because if you play a script, you can play the best script in the world, but you will never find the gap in the difference consciously. You will either get lucky to where they're not there, or I don't know. For me, scripts are just not fun. I like figuring out the defense and playing according to my teammates, where we can get space, communicating with each other. Playing this sort of game, you require a lot of communication. You need to understand where are the players, what your teammate is doing, and how you can react according to what he sees.
That was a big topic at the beginning of NAVI, that everybody was kind of saying that communication was a struggle at the beginning, not being able to work off of each other. How much was it the problem at the beginning, and how much did that develop over time?
I think communication and game knowledge goes hand in hand. So if you don't know what to say and you don't know how to react to a certain thing, no matter how good you communicate, you just don't know the solution. And with time, by speaking with the team, trying to gather as much information as you can improve on both communication and game knowledge. And communication is not just telling what you see. Communication is also you have to know what you communicate. You cannot just say 1B. Your teammates do not really see the information that you see. When you say 1B, you kind of have pieced the puzzle where they are. So maybe it's 1B, but they're playing 4A. And just say, guys, they're playing 1B, just come towards B. You cannot just keep it light. 1B. Sometimes people are in their zones, they do not understand what you mean by 1B.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of the communication comes from the intonation, the speed, the how loudly you say something, and also just the small details that you add. It's 1B pushing, or is it 1B staying back, or one be, you know, oh, yeah, a lot of these small details, even like when people say, oh, you can see on the minimap where I was and when I died, it's like, you know, not everyone is going to be focused. They're doing their
Yes.
own thing. So you need to say like, I was peeking, or, you know, what kind of scenario it was. And it all depends on what's going on different parts of the map. If there's a lot of shit going on somewhere else, and you're not going to be
Yeah.
saying 7 details because it's too much. So there's, I think that's a, like kind of just the whole international team issue, is that like people communicate differently, and they're used to like, I would say like we're all used to NAVI from forever being like a very loud team when they communicate. Like back, if you go back to like Zeus and Edward on the team, but then you also think of like Electronic when he is communicating, when he was on the team. Like obviously when nothing's happening, it's fine, but as soon as there's more action, I feel like they're yelling like
all the time,
and just everyone's yelling at the same time, and like somehow they understand what's going on. So if you come into that as like someone that's used to like more chill communication, I feel like it would be super overwhelming to kind of discern what the fuck is actually going on, and like what part of this communication is like super important, what is like just information that you need to know. So how's that been? I feel like Simple is also like that. I think like Simple Electronic kind of have the same way of speaking from what I can hear out like tournaments and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think it gets pretty hectic when it's chaos around the map, but also what you have to have with this is not, you need to know what you're saying. You cannot just make a whole sentence. You have to have keywords intact. So that means a certain thing. You've agreed to, like, if I say the word monkey, it will mean that they're reaggressing middle. You need to react on A or B, or according to the plan. And you need to keep it short. You cannot, because
do you actually have that line monkey for something?
Alex wanted to implement this keyword monkey.
And that's for reaggressing, or?
It was when he said monkey, it means there's danger on one part of the map. I think he had it for all maps. He wanted to add it for Overpass and Mirage, and we're like, no, sorry, monkey. It's not a danger word. Yeah, you have yeah. So then we stuck with the danger. So we say danger monster, danger underpass.
Okay.
Something you have to react to.
Universally understandable, yeah.
Yeah. When I hear danger, I'm like, oh, danger? Where? Let me check.
Let me go there. Let me go
raw peek into him. There's an up there. That's a classic.
Yeah, I confirmed. Yes,
that's the
true.
favorite comm in any game. It's like, watch out, one there. He peeks. Yeah, one there. It's like, thank you for confirming and dying. That's very useful information. Let's talk about CS2 and Sydney, because I think that's kind of fun. We got like a very crazy situation with you being playing with Blade. Blade is on the server. How was that? Just tell me, how was that?
Woo! I mean, it was a little surreal at times. You can usually hear him during the tactical timeouts, but you were hearing him constantly. I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. He has a nice and calm, soothing voice. But
he speaks very slowly, right?
Yes. Actually, no, in game he wasn't really that slow.
Okay.
He was on point with his communication, which was a little weird. I would think as a coach he would be like slacking in that department, but no, it was communicating like a professional player. Maybe not playing as one, but.
Why did you have to?
But this is no offense, and of course Blade understands that.
Of course, yeah.
I liked playing with him, but sometimes it felt like you can not rely on your teammate. As in, I mean,
like having the right reaction and stuff like that, right?
No, the reaction was not bad, but the killing part was a little wrong. He was a little slow in decision making, and also a little slow in his shooting. And yeah, I mean, it was a nice experience. It's just that he was not playing the best CS.
Something, this is kind of like a funny detail that I noticed, but every time there was a smoke in front of, that fell in front of Blade, he just took out an A and blew it up, literally immediately all the time.
You know what his default when Mirage CT was? It's because he was playing the op. He would multi-B on boxes, and the smoke pops, boom, he takes out the nade, boom, clears mid, goes back. He did it 12 rounds, every single buy round he did that.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean,
But how come? Okay, so you were like in preparation for the event. It was something like, I don't know. You made some meme on Twitter about opping or whatever, not opping, and obviously you have a history of opping, but that didn't really end up being true. You know, you weren't really opping at all, even though I think Navi actually explicitly said that you would be. You would be. So that's kind of funny. What happened with that? Was that ever a plan that you would be opping a lot?
I wanted to op myself. That was really cool. Okay, oh, I have the chance to be the opper, but I just didn't feel like it was that strong, to be honest. And my strengths are not in opping; they're in rifles, strafing, swinging, killing, creating spins, and you cannot really do that with op. And if we're missing a player like me, it would be kind of hard to replace that role. I think it's way easier to replace the op than a rifler, especially the one who is taking space.
So supports the idea that Simple has been throwing out there for a very long time, that the op is actually a new weapon. Everybody like it's the best weapon, easiest
No,
weapon.
it's a very hard role. I think it's one of the hardest roles. It requires a lot of responsibility, but I think you would much rather have a really good like a rifler than a bad opper. You know what I mean? If you had to pick.
I don't know if I could agree, but I understand. You wouldn't want either. You wouldn't want a bad upper or a bad like aggressive rifler. I think both are very important to the team. I would say
For
that.
sure.
I would say that, but I don't know what I would pick. Rather, it's kind of a curse situation either way.
And of course, in any situation, you would pick simple, but
How is that whole kind of like learning about, because everybody was saying that like you guys literally landed and found out, okay, Simple's not playing. Like must have been pretty hectic from the start.
it was. The team talk was not nice. We went to a park all together. Us, the coach, manager, and it was like, I've got some news to tell you. And my first thoughts in my mind are getting benched. That's not,
At
but
the
no.
tournament, that wouldn't happen, right?
But no, it was that Simple had some problems with documents, and he will most likely not be joining us. And then, of course, we had the question: can we have an emergency stand-in? All that stuff. But it was not an emergency in the eyes of ESL, so we could not grab a stand-in. And yeah, we just had to play the 4v5. Of course, we're not happy. I was so ready. I was so prepared for the tournament. I was super happy to play CS2, but then we had to play in a disadvantage.
This also came like, I mean, I'm not sure if I was looking too much into it, but this obviously came after your second place at Pro League, and this was the time that everybody was thinking like, okay, so now Navi are getting finally started. You know that they're deep into this international project, and that this happens right after your best result. You know, there's obviously it's much more complicated than that because of the CS2, switch coming in at the same time, and so it's always going to be unpredictable. But was that the feeling in the team as well? Like, okay, like now we're finally on the right track, and this happens in the middle of it.
It felt like this for me, at least for sure. It felt like it was our tournament to win. I thought we were really unstoppable. We're doing well in practice. Of course, we didn't have many days, but we're doing well. We're a team that adapts fast, and as the tournament progressed, we'd have new plays coming up, new rounds, new meta, and I think we could have created a lot of the new stuff to carry us through the games, but it was an unfortunate situation.
Yeah, I mean, how did you kind of go from that? Because obviously it was completely unknown what was going on. Then after a while, it came out that Simple was like, taking a break. What was the team just on pause until you kind of signed w0nderful, or what was the deal?
It came as a shock. Not like a shock, but it's. I don't really expect to lose the best player in the team. You know what I mean? You just don't imagine those things. And then, I mean, of course, he was thinking about the break for quite some time. I was not aware of it, of course. But to make this decision, you have to be thinking about it. It doesn't come like this. I'm gonna take a break. But we're on pause. We're not sure what to do or who to go to. We had not a lot of options to go for. every single top upper was in a team, and we decided for the best option for us. It was wonderful. There were quite more options that were available for us that we could have picked up, but wonderful was the best one for sure.
I mean, I think it's a pretty good fit overall to get like a young up and coming Ukrainian opera. I think that's as good as it can get for NAVI, especially, right?
Alexi and young upcoming operas.
Yeah.
Go well.
Ukrainian as well.
Yes.
He had hat trick before.
No, I mean, so yeah, when he comes in, what's the vibe? What's this guy like? Because I've heard that initially he was maybe not huge on taking initiative. He wasn't like, he was just like chilling and killing, you know. But I feel like that had to change considering like his Sprout time, how well he's been playing, and the fact that he's now a Navi, right?
Yeah, I mean, to fill the shoes of the best player in the world is not an easy task, and I hope he's not taking this into a lot of consideration, because that can take a toll on you for sure. After our first official game, if he doesn't drop 1.5 rating, you know it's gonna be bad for him. But if he doesn't take that into consideration, I think he can be a great topper. I like what he's doing. Of course, he needs some experience. It feels good not to be the least experienced player on the team. But yeah, I think he has all the talent and all the will to overcome all the obstacles and become a great player.
Sounds pretty sick. Can we write that down for a headline for the news post later? Sounds like sounds sexy. I don't know if it's written down. It's like the clickbait that we need to keep the lights on in this establishment. But it's one of those things like when you're doing an interview and you hear like, oh, this sounds really sexy. This sounds really good.
Sometimes I make sexy quotes, but they get taken out of context.
Which one?
When I said top players are not taking CS2 as, I don't remember, to be honest.
I know you would, like, some star players are not, like some superstars are not playing.
And of course, the first player that comes into mind is s1mple. And I was not even talking about s1mple. Like, I'm not even kidding. I was talking about star players. So yeah.
So s1mple's not a star player? Is that what you're saying?
No, but I was not talking about s1mple. Yeah.
That's it.
But yeah, s1mple was also taken into consideration. I mean, all of the star players. I would imagine it's quite a toll on you mentally when you're being so goddamn good. And then you have to kind of relearn the game again. Like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worse for, you know, the better you were and the more established you were, I think it's harder, right? It's
sure.
It's not like you're gonna instantly be, you know, worse than the guys that were worse than you before, but like you're definitely losing some of those. I mean, CS has so many like small tricks and things that you need to kind of master. I don't even want to think tricks. It's just like understanding some of the nuance and the details of the sound, of the utility, how everything works, and like to kind of piece the puzzle together. And the better you were, that, you know, it's kind of resetting, I would say. Like,
yes,
it's kind of leveling out.
And it's really good for players like me.
Of course.
Yes, I took this chance, and I'm gonna show that.
How much are you playing?
A lot. How much am I thinking about the game? A lot. Every single day, probably every hour.
So what's the regimen? What's the day look like? Regime, yeah. What's your protocol?
Okay, so now we're bootcamping for 12 days, maybe more. So we played 4. We played 4 again. Oh, we had 1 day off. This is our 2nd day off now, and then we'll have 3 more practice, and then we're traveling to Copenhagen. But today it starts with a morning walk, advised by our new mental coach, Ola. And then we just go in and we get breakfast together, which we never really did. So the team bonding was really well. And then we get into theory. Then Blade has his talk, Alexi B has his talk, we have our talk, and then we just get into grinding 2 games. And then we take a break. We review the first 2 practices, play the 2 games again, have the review after them, and then it's individual time where you hop on the server, be like, oh, this utility combo could be really good, or on a deathmatch. It's just whatever you need at that time, to be honest. I don't want to stick to a schedule. Okay, this time I'm gonna do utility, and this time I'm gonna do deathmatch. For me, it's a bit too overwhelming.
How do you find inspiration for stuff like now that, I mean, obviously it's always important to kind of find out new stuff, but with CS2 it's kind of different, right? There's not as many resources out there. Is it out of your head? Do you look at other stuff?
It's mostly out of my head because I know, okay, this is certified my thing, but other things are good as well. Alexi is doing a lot of research. So he'd be like, oh, U-stick, look what I found. What about his Molly plus Nate combo? Oh, this is really good. I'm going to use that. And I think it's a team effort when you're playing in a team. When you say util set, okay, this could be good for my upper. Let me show him this. And he says, yeah, it's good. And then you get motivated because it was good for him. And then you know he's motivated because he wants to do the move. And just hand in hand together.
Sounds fulfilling. You were talking about the having breakfasts together. Is that the guideline from your new mental coach you were talking about?
Just spend more time together because you get adjusted to each other, acclimatized.
That's the right one. That's
Whatever,
the right one.
all of those, I think, however you want to use it.
And I think it's good. Of course, spending time on your own is good as well, but we didn't really do those things with NAVI.
I think we're the hot seat is going on pretty long, but I'm just enjoying kind of picking your brains on some of these things. So one question that I have, and maybe Striker, if you have anything from the viewers, you can look it up now. But the question I have is like, so you said it yourself, you focused on getting good vibes in the team and all of these things, and just kind of being helping the team be in a better state, let's say. But for players that are trying to do that for their teams, that are up and coming, that are maybe like, semi-pro, like FPL, playing their first teams and stuff like that, what is maybe one tip that you would give to just be a better team player?
A better team player. Think about your team. As in, some people play for themselves and they don't do it consciously. They do it because they think it's the right way to play. And sometimes you are not the main character in some sort of situation. You need to understand what player has more impact on the round, and you have to support him and think about what's the best outcome in that situation and understanding the danger. So, for example, if you are, let's take Merossi aside. You have three guys fighting middle, and you're alone on A, and you just play default. A guy looks out palace, you die. And the teams have all of A side, and you have to retake from connector, late CT rotation. It's not good. You're not a hero. You don't need to do those plays. You have a team that can back you up. Imagine you play retake ticket. No, it's Tony. You heard the Elixir?
Yeah. It's Tony, though.
It's a good question. But imagine if you retake ticket, you jump, you let your teammates know that they're coming A, they come and support you, then you can play it together with them. It's a different game. You need to understand what your decision, how your decision will affect the outcome of the round.
Okay, pretty good. Do you want to do the
like bigger questions? What do you mean?
I didn't do the Vox Pop thing. We can just do that quickly, Dimitri, if you can pull up, because we had the poll for essentially for w0nderful. What do you expect from w0nderful in NAVI? We spoke about it a bit, about his expectations on him. Obviously, we can't avoid the fact that s1mple moved out of the team, and w0nderful is coming in. Even if he wasn't like signed to replace s1mple, more like to fill the spot, the expectations are high. So let's just look at what people are saying, what the kind of community vibe is for this. Waiting for the stats. Okay. Damn.
Ooh.
30% say they're expecting a Monacy in G2 start, 20% head trick in NIP start, 10% I think is for Guardian in 2019 NAVI. start,
pretty
which is
bad.
pretty bad. And then 30%, 35% is no expectation, which is fine. But I think like most people expecting like a pretty hot start from him still, regardless of anything. What do you think, Striker, about this?
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody's hoping not for it not to be 3. So I'm not surprised that's the lowest because Guardian never really got off the ground. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I think everybody's very realistic about the expectations just because okay, you're as JL was saying, you know, he's replacing Simple. Like there should be an expectation that that's going to be a one for one. Even it's not supposed to be in terms of the way they're playing, right? They're pretty different operas in general, and maybe JL can speak to this as well. You know how much the setup has changed in terms of that. You know how much space he requires compared to Simple. How much initiative he's taking compared to Simple. You know, Simple's obviously going to have his own space, and that's going to be different. You know, so I think people are pretty realistic about that though, and they have I would say fairly high expectations in general for Wonderful being his own thing rather than coming in as a Simple replacement.
I think it's so far from Simple, not as in like the skill wise, but they're just so far apart personality wise, and it's a different player. Even though he has Simple sensitivity and the video settings and all that stuff, he does not play like Simple. Simple is a phenomenon that you cannot really repeat. He understands the game in his own way. You cannot copy that. This is not the book. And Wonderful also understands the game in his way, which I think the best player should have that understanding. So, what was the question? I forgot. I was waffling.
No, just about how much has the team setup changed? With this swap.
Ooh. I think right now it's more of a team. You don't get me wrong. As Simple as a personality, it's a really big personality, and you know that he's gonna do his own stuff for sure, because he understands the game the best, and you have to give him that space. And Wonderful is not that caliber of player yet, and our strength is in the team. Whereas Simple found the word, whereas Simple could carry the game single-handedly, and I don't think Wonderful is feeling that game yet. So that's why he's not reserving himself, but trying to help the team and be a part of the team.
But it's also much more supported than Simple would have been, right?
No, Simple is actually really good at supporting. I was really surprised. How can he be that good of a player at the battlefront and also at the battle back? Whenever we played we played Inferno Banana, for example, he always knew how to support me. I would never have to tell him what to do. He would just come in behind me, flash, molly. Like he had this understanding of what's going on my screen. He would just flash and molly and whatever. And I feel like it's a little missing from Wonderful in this department. I mean, of course it's understanding of the game. We'll get there by time, but I took some things for granted while playing with Simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's it's a good. Actually, we have a question I think coming later about the GOAT. I think let's just touch on kind of plans and the future, because you guys did not play for a while. You're gonna play soon. What is the kind of the goals? I guess you set up some goals until the end of the year. What is that for Navi?
Move as fast as we can. I think we're not concerned about results. We're concerned about improving, and how fast you improve will determine how good of the results you will show. And I think we're moving at a pretty fast pace. Of course, we have a big bootcamp right now. We're doing a lot of stuff, but I think Wonderful is integrating pretty well in the team, and we can work around him, and he can work with us. And if we progress at the same speed as we are now, we could be looking at like top 4 finishes pretty fast.
Okay. How was
and then winning tournaments, of course, but
right? I mean, last time you had such a big boot camp, it was just before Pro League, right? And then you obviously had that had a really good run there. How's this one? How does this one compare? You know, it sounded like that was a pretty big deal. You know, to NAVI's improved results at the time.
In terms of progress, I think this one is stronger. But of course, when you're starting fresh, the progress will be felt more. So
Why did you sound like Blade right now? Didn't you sound like Blade?
A little bit.
I literally have like
no,
you're literally becoming Blade.
I'm becoming old.
Well,
Blade
it was
through
it was the pacing of the words and like kind of just the idea. It was full on Blade.
I'm inspired by Blade. I feel like he's a cool human being.
I think so
I
too.
respect
Yeah.
him a lot.
Let's jump into Nerves of Steel. This is our little fun segment. I think it's fun. So essentially, we have I think 5 or 6 questions. You answer them however you best you think, whatever you believe in, and you need to make us. You need to convince us that what you're saying is the truth. And if you do that on 6 questions, we give away a headset from SteelSeries to the viewers, and the viewers can write SteelSeries in chat to enter the raffle for the thing. Whenever you're ready, Dimitri, you can launch the first question, and I'll read it to you. Okay, this is the first question. Did the Madlands 6-player experiment make sense?
At first it did, but then it did not. I just thought it was really good. Wow, you have a player that plays really good Inferno and the player who plays really bad. Let's swap him out. But it affects the team synergy in the end. Sometimes you hear one voice, sometimes you hear the other voice, and it feels like it's just a recipe for disaster unless you're all 6 vibing together. But then someone will get left out. Maybe you'll play a bad game with that person, play a good one with the other. You'll start thinking, okay, this player is better for us than this one. And then he'll start thinking, oh my God, am I the problem? Should I leave the 6-man roster? There's so much things that can go wrong. So I think it's bad. It definitely makes sense.
I love that. I love that answer. Support that answer, Striker.
Yeah, I mean, it is obviously going to be hard to make it work from a personal, even from a personal perspective. You know, like from just psychological perspective.
No, was never really a fan of that, so I don't mind it not being a thing anymore. Let's go. Thank you for the answer. Let's go to question number 2.
Thank you.
Did you consider remaining in Apeks?
Yes, I did. Before the NAVI offer came in.
Okay, so other teams, you're like, I don't know about this.
No, but honestly speaking, I was considering because of all the memories we built with Apeks. But I knew it was time to progress in my career. NAVI was offering not just great results and great teammates, but also of like having more eyes on you. And when you have more eyes, better. I mean,
I feel like you wanted to say there are some financial incentives there as well.
No, of course, 100%. Yes, I'm not gonna lie. There's also financial incentives. I mean, there's no secret that NAVI pays well.
There's that classic overdrive question from his interviews. It's like, what is the biggest thing that you bought from your prize winnings in CS:GO?
Ooh. Okay, should I? Okay, I mean it's this Rolex.
Okay,
I'm really proud of it. I actually bought it because I joined NAVI. It was a huge accomplishment for me. Yes, it's a huge present for me.
Are you comfortable saying how much it was?
I mean, if I don't say it, people might think it's like 50,000 or something. But
maybe then you should say it.
I mean, it's a Datejust 41, a Wimbledon dial. I got it for a really good price. If I want to get it for a good price, I would not have got it. There was a person who was really interested in watches. He was a fan of CS, and basically my agent contacted him, and he found a really good AD that kind of not made a discount for me, but it was way cheaper than you would get it from another source. It was like 2,000 euros cheaper. Yeah, I'll just say it was 2,000 euros cheaper. It's a big price. When I have to tell it to someone, it's crazy. Like, yeah.
It's
I mean,
an
I
investment,
just
though, no?
randomly searched it, and I like the first number that I got was like $25,000. So it seems like it's a
It's
big
cheaper.
one.
It was cheaper than that. It was cheaper. It was cheaper.
Cheaper than that. Okay.
23. No, it was cheaper. Because I said 2,000, and yeah.
Well, actually, I have to say this because it's just funny. Last time when we had Bobski on the podcast, before he went live, like he had some books behind him, and like one of the one of the books was like the books of Rolex, and I pointed it out to him, and he's like, "I have to hide this because people are gonna make fun of me," and now everyone knows. I put it out there. I snitched him. It's just funny.
God damn. Yeah, but watches are
Right.
interesting. There's so much to watches. It's not just about the Rolex. I mean, Rolex for me is kind of making it watch. You have to buy it as an accomplishment, or you just buy it for yourself to be like, okay, you kind of made it in
I'm a boss now.
one department. Yeah, you cannot hide it.
Okay, let's go to question number 3. Who are the top 3 Baltic players?
Ooh.
Order them, and with order. We need the order.
Okay, number 1, Robs, for sure. My boy, Robin, and
No
even if
surprises
he
there.
wasn't performing this well right now, I still would have said Robs, but now it's undoubtedly Robs. And number 2 is I'd say Brokey. He's playing really well. Brokey, and then number 3 I would put myself.
Easy.
Rest in peace,
Oh,
Skinionaire.
wait. That's all the Baltic states. Estonia,
Yeah.
Latvia, Lithuania states, Baltic states.
Yeah, Kindar out of the picture.
Who? I'm joking. Relax.
Okay, no, I think that's a pretty good list. Let's go to the next
I
question.
like it.
When you joined NAVI, which player surprised you the most?
Beat. Valerchuk. I knew Simple was good, hands down, but Beat had insane aim, understanding the game, and he was a chill dude. It just seems like he never cares. He just goes in and kills the players. I mean, it looks like from the side he just kills. Of course, he has understanding where they are, and even if sometimes he makes a mistake, he just kills the player. But yeah, like, you can play bad, but if you hit the head, who's gonna punish you? No one.
Yeah, classic. Okay, question number 5, and we're almost done. Were you worried when you learned about Simple's break?
Yes. To replace him is not a easy task. That's for sure. And with no players available on the market, how are you going to replace him? You cannot even get like a tier below him. Established tier below him. Wonderful was more of a kind of unknown picture, but getting him, we're really happy with what he's doing right now. So he was a hidden gem.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way to describe it. But yeah, if you're talking about like just very established players, you would think of like a Monesi, maybe a Brokey, or some of these players that like won tier 1 tournaments as uppers, and those were not really. They don't really come. They don't come. For cheap or for
They're
free.
locked in.
Yeah. I mean, you can see that like Falcons seem to be struggling to find that upper.
Not enough money.
I don't think that's the problem, man.
Okay, question number 6. When were you the most stressed in your career?
Ooh, that is actually a really easy one. It's not going to be anything crazy. It's not a tournament. But when I was just not beginning, I was trying to reach the pro level for quite some time, and it was not going good. I was playing Faceit Premium to get into the FPLC qualifiers, and I failed one after the other. I was considering quitting it. I was considering quitting and just being a delivery guy, because I just found peace in being a delivery guy. You just work on your own. You deliver food. There's no pressure added to it. But you know who was there for me? My girlfriend. And she said, "Don't quit. Why did you spend all this time working for it? You have an exceptional talent. I believe in you, and you should believe in yourself too." And a few weeks later, FPLC invited, didn't have to qualify because I traveled with Force and LMBT. got me an invite to FPLC, and it all started from there. I played there for a few months. Hacker recommended me, and all things just fell into pieces. So yeah, don't quit because you're about to hit big.
I love how you used fell into pieces instead of fell into place, which is like the inverse of what you tried to
Oh.
say. It's like it was all good, and then it all fell apart. I'm like, okay, but yeah, that's a really good story. I think that's one of those stories that's like, you know, it's like the overnight success that came over like 3 years. You know, you're just working. You're like this close. You know that meme, the Instagram picture of that guy like digging a hole.
Yes.
And then there's like I don't know, whatever. There's different memes, so it's like a shit ton of gold and shit on the other side, and he turns around like 1 centimeter before it. That's kind of
that was literally me. I didn't realize before I was saying before I told you this, but now I realize. So yeah, guys, keep digging.
quit digging. No, that's pretty amazing. That's awesome. Let's give away this headset. Who's winning it? The Mean Street. Let me know. Okay, we're gonna
Randomizer is too long.
We're gonna the CPU processing power to random select people very high, and I'm gonna keep talking. I'm not gonna keep talking, but no, this is very nice. I really enjoy this. We're gonna give away.
Thank you, Dares of Steel.
Thank you, JL. I actually wanted to ask you one more question because I watched this interview. It was like with David Beckham, and then they were talking about like Messi coming to whatever Inter Miami, and some kid that like learned something from Messi. They asked him like, "Oh, what did you learn from playing with this guy?" And he's like, "Messi told me to run less, because if you run less, then you like see the game more." What did you learn from s1mple?
Ooh, that's actually a really good question. I learned a lot of things. One of them is just win. I kind of wanted to win more. I have this bigger fire in me now to win because I don't like losing. Neither does Sasha. And I was like, maybe I should really hate losing so I can work more and win more. And also, I've learned that no matter... let me put this into words, I'm sorry. I have a really good one, but I cannot put it into words. But essentially, it means to play your game and find what works best for you, and just don't try to fit a certain style. A certain style. Be your style. Make sure it's good. Make sure you polished it. Make sure you work on it, and you're gonna do good.
That's pretty good. I like that.
How much do you keeping in that line? How much do you watch other players like in similar positions and stuff like that? Then
I used to do it a lot, but now I don't really do as much. I try to analyze my game more so than theirs. You can see some gimmicks maybe from the players, but usually their reactions are quite similar. And I think I do enough of my own game analyzing right now to understand if the play is good or not. You can find some inspiration, of course, from the other players, but I think that comes randomly.
I mean, while it's there on the s1mple topic, I mean, there's obviously a big part of the community out there that thinks like this is good for Navi because there's this kind of feeling that like he was toxic to the atmosphere. Like the team wasn't in the greatest spirits whenever he was losing. What do you have to say to that? And how is the atmosphere going to change without him?
So we're definitely gonna miss a big personality in the team. Someone will have to fill the shoes, I think. But also, I think with s1mple comes with a lot of added pressure because you know how much he wants to win, and you can either get inspired by that or you can get maybe a little pushed away. Because I mean, you can say it's toxic or whatever, but if you take away the emotions and you focus on his goal and what he's trying to say, you're gonna do good. Maybe he doesn't say it in the nicest way possible. It's not a secret, but he's saying kind of the right stuff, but just hidden. You have to just look for the meaning behind his words, and that's it.
Okay. Let's go on a break. I think we have a winner, but I'm not sure. Let's say Kalimato. We had some weird thing with the draw, but Kalimato wins the giveaway. We're gonna
Congrats,
reach out to
Kalimato.
you. We're gonna reach out to you, and we're gonna go on a short break for the ads, and then come back to talk about the rest of the things to wrap up. This has been the longest hot seat ever, but it's been very fun. So, see you in a few minutes.
Best esports odds. VIP program and a variety of bonuses. Fast and easy withdrawals. Bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. It's a good vibe, train, 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 train. Good vibe, train,
Hello, and welcome back. We're just discussing what we should focus on, what we should kind of skip from the to-do list today. Obviously, the CS2 update that came, that's something that we're going to talk about. JKS bench report, which I feel like is going to be official shortly. I know people after the NiKo thing now, they don't believe anything anymore. But
which is annoying because we haven't gotten. I mean, we took that report over, but we haven't gotten anything wrong. So, like for people to hold us to the same, not to the same standard, but like to include us in the level of reporting of all the other people is annoying sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we do try to like differentiate with like sources and media of like what is our reporting, what is from other people. So that's kind of the indicator for that.
Yeah,
let's
I mean,
actually
to be fair though, like
start with the JKS. By the way, let's start because JL just went to the bathroom and he's gonna be back soon.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, the NiKo stuff, like everything that's we've heard, like literally everybody from G2, everybody from Falcons was sure he was joining. Like it was basically the payment away from being completed, but then just something changed. It's hard to say what changed exactly, what made him go back, but like everything that everybody has heard, it really was just about like pretty much happened.
Yeah,
except the money wasn't transferred. Essentially, like that's I think that's the only thing that was missing.
Yeah, and I think that's like the detail from like the Nell article.
You're muted.
What?
Yeah, you're fine now.
Okay. That's the part that is rightfully criticized because there is like a line that says like
completed the buyout,
completed the
like,
buyout, the sale with the like the money and blah blah. So that part is obviously, I mean, obviously wasn't true, but yeah. Other than that, everything was as close as possible, and now we have like a kind of a turnaround with like, oh, NiKo was supposed to leave, and now it's like, oh, actually JKS is benched. What's the read on this striker? What's the why is this happening essentially?
I mean, the actual motivation behind it, I mean, it's a little bit difficult to know exactly what's happened in G2 and who initiated what and what players like had the biggest say, just because like obviously there must have been multiple options depending on whether NiKo was going to leave or not. And I think the fact that he did go back very suddenly kind of threw everything into question again, and they had to rethink a lot of their plans. who exactly they're looking at for replacements at the moment. I mean, there's not actually that much out there, you know, to be frank. But they must have something in the plans, you know. Like obviously there's the Nexa rumor, but I think even that wasn't necessarily finalized when JKS was benched. And I'm not sure what the update is on that at the moment. I mean, I reported it with the wording that like they did consider him at some point, and it was serious enough, you know, for me to include that. But it's not necessarily clear how far that has evolved since then, you know, because it's been a few days. It had been a few days since I heard that, and since I had that corroborated that there was that interest. But it's not clear that that's actually the replacement yet, at least on not finalized, you know. So at the moment, I mean, there seems to be a lot up in the air when it comes to G2 and a lot of other teams. I mean, see that there's not that much flying around. Falcons still, you know, they're still finalizing that team. There's going to be some movement in ants. You know, there's a lot of moving parts at the moment that I feel like are still being figured out. And some of these teams aren't even at full final, you know, so they have a little bit more time to figure it out than like an Astralis.
Yeah. JL, what's your first thought when you see like the JKS benching in G2?
Honestly,
Yeah.
they're replacing a replaceable player. For me, JKS is like the glue to the team. The amount of times he got the team on his shoulder during important games.
What?
That's a really hyped up FPL game or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Holy.
thinking as well.
But yeah, in my eyes, JKS was one of the best players they had. Maybe he was not putting up the highest numbers, but he was holding his down for sure. He is one of the best players in his role. I'm not sure who can you replace him with. That's gonna be an upgrade. Besides
for-
Simple, of course.
No, for me.
I don't know if Simple would play those positions specifically, man. He's like
Like,
the
he
most.
wouldn't.
That's the most removed you can be from like all the action, pretty much.
He would play those positions, but he would be like 100 meters ahead of
Yeah,
where he's supposed to be.
yeah. He would be the anchor. That's an opener, you know. That
Yes.
type of stuff. Yeah.
For me, the
Opening or season sign.
only reasonable way of thinking about it is that like a part of it is a budget reason why they're doing this. Like for me, that's the only reasonable thinking. Not only, but I think it has to kind of come into consideration that like maybe he was kind of a higher paid player, and they're like, well, maybe if NiKo is staying, then we need to change something else. I can't see it reasonably being like such a necessity to remove JKS from the team.
I mean, to be honest though, I'm not necessarily sure if that's true. Just for the reason that like he had been benched in complexity for like almost a year at the point where he joined G2, so I don't think he would have been in like some big place to negotiate a mega high salary. So I'm not necessarily sure that I buy that. From what I know and from what I heard, the complexity salary was pretty big. But like if you're benched in a team for a year, you're not going to have the most power to leverage something, you know, in your organization. You're going to be the one who's going to be willing to take a cut just to be able to play again, you know, especially for a team like G2, who's obviously going to be very competitive. And even compared to his previous teams, I mean, this is his biggest team so far. So I think from that position, I'm not necessarily sure he had the best place to negotiate from. So I'm not sure if I buy that particular story, but I also don't necessarily buy the whole angle of like NiKo being the one like pulling all the strings and like trying to get all the Balkan friends into the team. You know, that's like the overdrive rumor that came out, and that NiKo even came out to combat a little bit, you know. So I'm not sure I buy that either. Obviously, there's more to the Nexa rumor from just their previous time with him, and it's obviously not just NiKo who had experience with him. It's also Hunter and generally the organization. You know what they're getting into with Nexa. If that's, you know, who ends up replacing him. I do have to say, if the rumor is true and that like Huxi would be staying and Nexa would just be coming in as like a replacement for an anchor, I'm not sure I see that, honestly, because we haven't seen Nexa in like a pure just rifle position in a long time, and I'm not sure if like fragging in the fragging department he would be able to be up to snuff, because I mean he hasn't had the numbers to be able to compare to a JKS, who like JL says like he has been one of the best anchors for sure. Like there's no question about it. That's generally a position that's taken up by like the second worst player on the team, and maybe that's the case for G2, but inside G2 that's still like a 1.05 type average rating, which is good for an anchor. For those positions that aren't so active, that is a good rating, you know. So I think JL is right. That's a hard position to replace.
So obviously, it's stupid to judge it before you see what the final result is going to be. But I think like if we're going to have to like thumbs up or thumbs down this move, I think we're like all thumbs downing it. We're all like
just by solely the move, yes. But I
Yeah.
think there should be more to it for sure.
Yeah.
It
I
has
think-
to be.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons to change the roster in terms of getting a little bit more young pieces in, because at the moment the only kind of like future they have is m0nderful. Everybody else is probably beyond their peak at this point or at it. If you look at maybe like NiKo is still obviously close to his peak. Hunter probably still has that as well, but you have to think that maybe in a couple of years that's going to start changing, and that core of the team was pretty old. And I don't want to be all ageist about it, but obviously, if you're an organization, you're going to think about your future down the line, and especially with CS2 coming, there's going to be like motivation dipping off. Not being, maybe as you were saying, that not everybody has the same level of motivation to put the same effort into CS2 and learning how that's different and what's going to work best in that game. And so who knows how much of this had a play in the organization's mind, or in the other players. Yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say until we see the replacement. If it is Nexa, then this entire point is moot because he's also not the youngest, and it just doesn't really make sense, if that was the thinking. So yeah, I'm just waiting to see what's the development going to be there, and if there's potentially going to be more changes or not. There hasn't been enough flying around for me to believe that there's more than one change, but who knows? Like there's a lot of moving parts in the scene at the moment, and there's still a lot that could happen, and still like teams have until even after the world final, to figure out the rosters before we get into the major qualifiers and all that stuff. So at the moment, I think there's still time, even if they have to play world final with an outdated roster or somebody that's not going to be on the team anymore. They're going to be okay enough, to be able to make the move in the off season instead of before that.
Let's talk about the CS update. I did not personally get to play since the thing came out, although they said like some things already were updated on like Premiere and stuff like that. So what's the feedback from UJL after this I don't know how to call it, like subtake visual feedback update?
It feels way smoother. But not
Yeah.
like way smoother, but it's a noticeable change for sure. When you think about it, you're like, oh whoa, yeah, this is the new change. And it feels smoother. My spray has been hitting crazy. Maybe because I've been playing a lot of CS2 and it's improved. Maybe it's due to the change. But the game is feeling really good now. Of course, you don't have Bob, you don't have right hand, the netcraft is all scuffed, but if these are just minor things. If you look at the game itself, the shooting is done well. I'm just loving the game, honestly. More than I love CSGO, I think. Maybe it's because I got some extra motivation, maybe because being to the top is so much closer than it was in CSGO, because right now everyone is in a big, large chunk of group. And in CS it was like this, and now they're all here. And you can, the top feels closer than it did in CSGO, so that gives me a lot of love for the game and a lot of motivation. Can't wait to show what we did, what we cooked up.
A rare breed of a player to say that they like CS2 more than CSGO already. But I have to respect it because like we've heard so much shit from everybody, obviously, not everybody. There are some players who, okay.
No, I was about to say some bad stuff, but I held back.
No, this is good for you, man. Like if everybody is shitting on the game and then you're the one who's like, fuck it, I enjoyed this game. You're gonna be the one who's gonna be shooting up, like you're right. This is your opportunity. So I love this. That's all.
I was about to say. I thought you were waiting for me to respond.
I was just waiting for JL to say if he. I was testing if he would like let something out.
No, I have to hold this one back. I have to hold
It's
this
not
one
happening. But yeah, I think seems like a step in the right direction. Like from everything that I'm seeing from people, the feedback seems pretty good. Like there's still some of the kind of dying behind walls. There's
yes, that's annoying.
Still happens, and like the peaker's advantage is still there. But I think like this is, out of the problems that were there, this was like maybe like 1/3 of this like pie of shit to fix essentially for CS2. So like, okay, now we have two still very big things to address. How will they fix it? Will they fix it? When? I don't know, but it's a step in the right direction for sure, from Valve in the game. So good shit. Thank you, Volvo. We have like quite a lot of these roster news, but I don't think, since just because of the time, I think we can kind of skip through them. We can just mention the Astralis closing on stavn and jabbi. Like, this is kind of what was expected, but it seems like it's going to happen. Like, it seemed actually like it maybe already should have happened, but it didn't. Striker, what do you know about this?
I mean, there's okay. I'll say something that we haven't reported on, but I feel confident enough in saying, which would be interesting for sure if it's 100%, and I think it is. Like, I've heard it from legit enough places that Astralis wanted to play with these two at fall final already, and they were in a position to be able to, from like a contractual perspective, like that they've pretty much finalized these two additions at this point, but the Blast denied the move. So they're basically waiting with the announcement until after Blast, because they have to play out the fall final with the players that they have at the moment, which is, I mean, good on Blast, I have to say, because, you know, in the past they haven't made the best decisions when it comes to rosters. Sometimes there was the whole conflict situation with FaZe that got denied for like very shoddy reasons, and then they allowed another player to play against his team, you know, that wasn't necessarily even loaned out and stuff like that. So like, they have a history of making some awkward decisions when it comes to the roster, but this time it seems like they actually made the right one, because their rulebook says that the only changes that are allowed after the deadline, which was, I think, end of October 31st, they're only allowed to be made in emergencies. So if there's an injured player, people can't travel, you know, that sort of stuff. Like, really, you know, only in situations where you are forced to play with somebody else, rather than, you know, roster changes and that being your decision, you know. And we even saw like Vitality, you know, put Mezzi on the roster, even though that move wasn't official. From what I hear, it wasn't even necessarily finalized by the time that they actually submitted this roster. But they did the right thing, you know. They put him on the roster, even risking that it was going to get leaked, and it did get leaked, by the way, because that it always does. Literally the day after the roster deadline, everything gets leaked. But they didn't care, you know. They just followed the procedure correctly. You know, they wanted to put the player that they were going to play with on the roster, despite the fact that maybe they weren't necessarily 100% sure if he was going to play. And that's what Astralis should have done as well. You know, maybe they weren't in the position because they weren't as close with the negotiations for stavn and jabbi at the time. But as far as I could tell, like, nothing actually prevented them from putting the two players on the roster in preparation for that, you know. But it's always a bit of a it's always a bit weird when you don't necessarily have the organizers talk about this too much a lot of the time, and like even release the submitted rosters, which I feel like should become a norm for them to be public rather than for them to always have to be leaked, so that people know what teams have submitted. I think this is also good for the TO, you know, to have out there, instead of, you know, waiting until days before the tournament, or literally like somebody rocks up to the media day and it's like a different player they were supposed to play with. It is a cool aspect if that happens, you know, but it's still like, from a TO perspective, you kind of want it to be out there, I would say.
I feel like it's always funny when we do like requests for media day requests, like, can we request that this player from this team is like, we can't confirm nor deny that this player is on this team. So like, okay, so let's just hypothetically, in case Mezzi joins Vitality, can we interview Mezzi? Like, everyone knows, but we just have to like play this charade. Oh,
What,
like,
Mezzi is joining Vitality?
Oh, no one knew. It was a complete surprise for everyone.
Complete surprise. But anyway, that's kind of like the behind the scenes, the latest that I heard, because there was like a lot of development there, and I was like trying to figure it out if they were going to play with them at the fall final. And knowing Blast and their history, I was like, maybe there's a chance, even though the rulebook just that is very clear about it, you know, like that is not an emergency, that doesn't constitute one. But, you know, there's always a chance, you know. There's some pull that Astralis have, and they've had past ties with Astralis. It is a home turf thing, you know, and they've been kind of trying to sell more tickets lately. I think that the arena hasn't been sold out properly, and they're trying to make that final push for that. And so all of these things, you know, if you have stavn and jabbi suddenly playing for Astralis, that's a big hype generator. You know, like suddenly a lot of people will probably buy tickets. Okay, I want to see that. Like I want to see them in Astralis. There's the beef with Katie, and Katie is going to still play with Heroic for one last time.
Heroic versus Astralis
So like,
grand final.
just imagine that, you know, the hype that generates, you know. And so like, as much as maybe that's low standards, I have to give props for Blast for that, because there was a lot of motivation, let's say, to allow this move, and it seems like they haven't.
Yeah, would be still from a very enjoyment perspective. I would have loved to see them play.
Oh yeah, of course.
And I think just in general, some of these roster lock things are so useless and
Look,
just get in the way of things. But if the rules are there, they should be there for everyone the same.
Yes,
right?
and that's why I respect about Blast right now.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the point, right? Because like other teams, as I said, Vitality just went at the risk of leaking the roster move, you know, but did the right procedure. You know, they did
and also
follow
like
the rules properly.
Pushing for the transfer, which can make the the payout go higher, the buyout be higher, because like, oh, I need to do this before this deadline.
Yeah,
which
exactly.
Rushes things. So that's it comes with the territory, right? And then Astralis do stuff Astralis way, which is always taking their time, right, with the approaches.
Yeah, but it's also like it could be very sneaky, you know, if you don't include the 2 new players on the roster, everybody else does. You know, you have an advantage in terms of prep as well. Like nobody knows what team you're going to be playing with. You know, if suddenly you'll rock up to the event with a different roster that you submitted. You know, so if 7 out of the 8 teams play by the rules and they do the right procedure and they even like risk of leaking roster moves, you know, just by submitting that player, and then one team just gets preferential treatment, that's unfair. Like even from a competitive standpoint, that's not good to do, you know. So again, glad to see the right decision made.
Let's jump into actually the tournament, because the rest of the stuff that you kind of talked about, there's like some smaller team movement, which is interesting. But let's just touch on Blast, because Navi is playing there.
Yes.
Let me look at the group. So Group A, FaZe versus NIP first game, and then Cloud9 versus Navi opening game. And on Group B, we have Vitality, Heroic, and Complexity Astralis. So we could get the Heroic Astralis in the group stage. But let's talk about Cloud9 versus Navi. Is that a grudge match, JL?
For me?
For
No.
the team, for the org?
Probably yes. But I mean, we're not aware of that. And it's good. It would add some extra pressure for us to win the game. But I know that a bit wants to play against them a lot. It's their old teammates. And it's going to be some competition there for sure. And yeah, it's a good match.
Makes me sad Simple's not playing, to be honest. It would have made things more interesting.
I mean, we can still get him back. So like he's not on NAVI.
Is he on the roster?
Of course. No way you have Simple and put the different stand-in.
That would be amazing. Actually, that would actually be amazing.
Imagine Simple replace a Blade for the coach spot. So just like every single one in the NAVI team, and then Simple behind us, tapping us up.
I can't even picture that. Like Simple would just like, you know what he would do? He would probably just like sit in a player's place, you know, at some point like during the game. Like fuck it, like just let me play.
Imagine Simple as coach using 4 timeouts in the first 4 rounds to tell people what they.
The first round.
Yeah.
Just after Pissar. 4 times back to back.
Like,
just
what are you doing? What are you
Yeah.
doing here? This is not this. Yeah, that was bad. Okay, please fix. Easy. Now we win. No, but this is I feel like this is a pretty good group for you guys. Like Cloud9 with their situation, pretty rough. I don't really see too much. I don't want to say too much potential. Like they did okay online, but they're still playing without an upper, right? So that's just a reality that they're kind of wounded, injured team in this moment. And you have an IP like also fresh off a roster change. I think these 2 teams you should be better than with your lineup, even though you are also like fresh off a roster change, but like a kind of a hyped one. What do you think?
I 100% agree. I think we have the edge on both teams, even though Cloud9 looks scary and they look scary on paper, but the results showed a little different.
Yeah. So
there's also FaZe though. Not scared.
We took a map of FaZe playing with Blade.
That's actually true, yeah.
And yes, and all the matchups we had against FaZe, we beat them with our normal roster.
If we're gonna be completely honest, like FaZe should have lost should
So
have
many more
lost
games, yeah.
should have lost, and that's the shittiest and stupidest thing to say. But you know what I mean when I say it looked like they were gonna lose quite a few of these games, starting like back in Sydney. I thought they were going out to Vitality
I
game.
thought that too.
Yeah.
I thought that was done. Like they would be like out 0-2 or 2-1 or something. Like would have been a completely different story than at CAC, the game they play against Ents. I cannot believe that they won
that. Yeah.
I cannot believe that they won that game. That was insane. What kind of rounds they brought back, like 2v4s all over the place, like 2v2s that looked like set and just like magically turn around. Insane scene. So, but what does that say? Is that good or bad? I feel like that's good for FaZe because that's how they won before as well.
I think it's good for them. Of course, they want to be not put in those situations, but if that's how you win, that's how you win. You have to respect the hustle. And
Yeah.
I mean, if you're doing that, and in theory you're not playing the best CS, if you're truly thinking that, if you just improve your CS and keep playing like that, and there is no one to stop you.
No.
Except
I mean,
Navi.
it actually reminds me. Hello. It actually reminds me of the way that they were winning in the early 2022. Even if they were winning everything at the beginning of the year, none of those tournaments looked convincing. Like it wasn't like Navi level, like whatever 2 years ago Navi level dominance, where like nobody even got close to beating them. You know, FaZe were always like grinding through games. Like they several games they probably could have lost on the way even to the major trophy. You know, and all that stuff. Like it wasn't like an easy way through. So like that reminds me of that time as well, and it's the same way that they're winning as well in terms of those like big clutch situations and like 2v4s and like just individuals turning situations around all the time. It is the same way, but it also tells you how, you know, it wouldn't take much to actually take them down. You know, this is not like the unbeatable team, and especially with the caveat that Twist is about to leave. You know, so like all this stuff, I think obviously it's FaZe are the best team at the moment. I don't think there's any questioning about that. When they won the first 3 tournaments in CS2, nobody can question that. But I think the gap is smaller than people probably think.
I mean, and about FaZe, I don't think they like playing in an advantage. They like to be put in those tough spots, clutch moments, being down in rounds, and that's when they hit their new levels. I feel like they make the huge step up. I think that's one of the biggest abilities.
Yeah.
One of the biggest abilities a pro team can have is when you're not playing the best. And once it comes down to that moment to say, okay, guys, let's focus now. Let's forget everything we did before. Now we perform, and they do. And I think that's a.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, it's fine.
I was just gonna say that it's kind of crazy that they won CAC without Brokey, really, like because he was okay, obviously, but just he wasn't the Brokey that they usually needed to have to be able to win tournaments. You know, like typically when FaZe won tournaments, or at least when far, Brokey was one of the people who was getting them there, kind of especially in kind of in late stages. So it was crazy to see that he was just being fairly mediocre, just not really doing like having even big plays or anything like that.
Just happy
and
to
they
be
still
there.
won. Just yeah, exactly. Just trudging along. But I mean, obviously, a lot of that is coming from Rops, probably being the best player at the moment.
For sure.
You know, in just the last couple of months. So, like, there's obviously a lot of good things for FaZe at the moment.
Yeah, we can. I just told Dimitri to bring up the screenshot from the forums because I thought it was funny. There was this thread today. Robs is Taylor Swift. It's so good. I can't read this right now. I can't
Realistically, Taylor Swift isn't that bad. Good songs, good voice, extremely toxic and shitty fan base. The main reason people don't like her is because fans defend her with their lives and act like she's the next prophet of God. I don't know where this goes next, but okay. No doubt Robs is the best CS2 player, but it's only been, like a month and 3 tournaments? Their win streak is great, but there's no way it compensates for how much better ZywOo and NiKo were in the last months of CSGO. Yet people are saying he'll be in the top 2 or top 3 this year. His recent form and FaZe wins might bump him up from the 7 to 10 area to the 4 to 6 area, depending on how they weigh MVP medals and CS2 in general. But even as a Robs fan, he shouldn't be in the top 3. It would take NiKo and ZywOo having points 25 ratings for the last tournaments, and Rob's having a flawless performances for him to beat either of them.
TLDR.
TLDR, Taylor Swift's fan base is why so many people hate her. Is Rob's fan base starting to do the same?
Honestly, I feel like banger thread. I feel like banger thread. Honestly, don't think Rob's fan base is that bad.
I don't
didn't
think so
know.
either, though.
I didn't notice it, but he is pretty sick. He is pretty sick in this new game. This is Fox. What do you think, JL? Have you been watching Rob's demos?
Not the demos, but I was watching you play for sure. I think if there was a player for you to watch demos, it would be Rob's.
Why do you think he's why is he playing so well?
His mechanics are obviously on point, on par, and I think he's just a nerd. He probably loves the game, and he just finds things faster than the other people do, and he understands the little details in games where like a counter strafe is a little different, or how a nade bounces. That's all of the stuff that people have not realized yet, and he understands the game really well. On top of that, there's a lot of details you have to take into account, but if you don't have the game sense, I know Rob is a hard-working guy, super hard-working guy. He watches a lot of games, a lot of demos. He's thinking about the game a lot, and he understands the game well. And if you have the mechanics down and the game well, understand the game well.
I think at the moment he's like, from watching him, I know like there's been a big kind of narrative that he's become a bit more aggressive in CS2. And I mean most of that is really on CT side, because that's where he was doing most of his moves even in CSGO, and he's doing even more of them now. And I feel like, I don't know what it is about him, but he has the best sense for when to peak. Like,
Yes.
he constantly catches people off guard all the time, and I don't know how he does it, man. Because like he does it in positions where he does it a lot, or like where you would expect him to do it, but he still catches people off guard all the time. And I don't know why it is, what like secret he uncovered, or whatever it is, if it's from prep going into games or what. But just he's really good at it.
It comes down to understanding the game, and you don't want to peak when the team is expecting you to peak. You want to peak when they're doing something, when they're moving. So if you take an example like CT Mirage, he's playing a CT, and when the T's initially start smoked at middle or window, you don't really want to pick them there. Of course, it's good to fight them for sure, but for Ops, I think he's better at late game. And when they're re-smoking window to go to like short or top connector, that's when he peaks and he catches them in front of their movements. And it's really hard to react to a player like Robs. He's instant. If you're not ready for him, even you can be ready in CS2, you can peak. You still will have no chance, and especially for Robs as an AK.
What do you think? We'll prepare the Skinionaire and then kind of close the show. So Dimitri, let me know when you're ready. But you're saying about playing other teams and stuff like that in practice. Is there a team that kind of is playing very well in CS2?
We haven't practiced a lot of tier 1 teams. We played Vitality, got smashed. But to our defense, didn't play much of that map. And I wouldn't say a team in specific, but it's really nice to see the lower tier teams to see what they're doing. They have like good moves on the map, like breaking the smoke or doing a certain play. I mean, of course, you still beat them, but you take into account what they did, and you're like, okay, that's good. How can we implement it into our game and have the team around that move? So we improve their play and make it our own. That's what we're doing with those teams, because they're working hard for sure. It's a big chance for the upcoming teams, players with less experience, is their chance to become big, and we use that opportunity and steal their plays. Thank you, guys.
That's how it works. That's how it always worked. And I feel like it just obviously the top teams get their own stuff, but there's some teams in the lower tier that just come up with shit all the time.
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do the quiz. We have a quiz now. This is a quiz for the skins for the viewers. 5 questions, and the theme is J. maybe J and L. I think it's the theme is J. So the question, everything's about J. Let's start the question number 1. And yeah, people can trade it in chat to get into the giveaway. In 2016, JW went to Godsend for 6 months only, to later return to Fnatic. Who did he go with? Crimson Flasha, Crimson Olaf, or Flasha and Olaf? And if you need help, you can maybe nudge a striker over here.
Striker?
Where are you leaning at the moment?
I'm leaning to no one. I have no idea.
You know, you have no idea?
Zero idea.
I'll give you a 50-50. I can tell you one of them was Crims.
Okay.
Because he went back first, and then they followed him after that. 8 seconds.
I'll go for the first option, Crimson Flusha.
Good job.
Really? Yes, it was a 50-50 for me.
Yeah, Olaf was the one who stayed in Fnatic, and he built the team with like Disco Doppler. What was the rest?
You can
I played
actually.
Disco Doppler as well.
That is true.
No, that was actually we had a question about that, didn't we, Prof?
We were.
Because there was like Oscar, Disco Doppler, or something, right?
Yes,
Edward,
it's the craziest team.
Edward and Sanden. What a god tier team. I actually linked the quiz so you can answer the questions yourself now that they come up. And there's music and everything to make it more suspenseful. Question number 2.
Oh, thank you.
JKIM and JKS lost in the semifinal of the Starlighter Major 2019 while playing for Renegades. Who did they lose to? Avantgarde, NRG, or NAVI?
I think it's Energy. I think so.
This is a major,
major
finalist.
Renegades versus. I remember. Yes, I pick Energy. I'm not gonna go into it. I'm not gonna overthink it because I'm still gonna go with Energy. I click it. Yes, lock it in.
You locked Energy, and the answer is Avantgarde.
I've never had Renegades versus Avantgarde, but I've had Renegades versus Energy.
Because
God
they played in NA all the time, probably.
God damn it!
Yeah, this was James going to the final, right?
Yep.
My bad, guys. I'm sorry.
But yeah, the final was Astralis against Avantgarde. So
let's go to question number 3.
I love the music, by the way, that's playing here.
Banger. Chris J played only in one team after being benched in Mouse, and that stint lasted 2 months. What was the team? s1mple's Phoenix, Lowland Lions, or Godsend?
It's 100% not Lowland Lions, and not Godsend. It's s1mple's Phoenix. I think he played with NiKo, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's a pretty good guess.
I'm locking in s1mple's Phoenix. FPX.
Let's go.
Please.
I totally forgot about that team, man. I
And
forgot
the answer is?
FPX actually had a team for some time.
Yeah. That was, well, they kind of struggled with the IGL role, right? This changed like 3 players. It was Crystal, Emmy, Sunny.
Should have tried NiKo for game leader.
There you go.
Yeah.
We didn't have to do
He's been Yeah, but he was fighting that for a long time, and then suddenly he decided to do it. I was shocked. He was like, no, I don't think I'm ever gonna give lead. And suddenly he did it.
Well, that's desperation does to you. Let's go to question number 4.
Just today, Just Team Movistar Riders lost the opening match at Paris Please 2023. Which team did they lose to? 9 Pandas, MIBR, or Eternal Fire? Oh, this is so hard.
Like all of these 3
Three
teams are actually at the event, so there's no like actually. I don't know the answer to this question.
Me
I
neither.
don't.
I have no
Can I look
idea.
at the Any helpers? Oh wow, okay, nice. I mean, it's a guess. I'm guessing it's not Eternal Fire, and I'm guessing it's not MIBR. Okay, I'm guessing it's not MIBR. So it's either 9 Pandas or Eternal Fire. For me, at least. I have to go for 9 Pandas. It's such a random team. I'm going for 9 Pandas. I'm locking it in.
Let's go 9 Pandas. And the answer is MIBR. MIBR winning them. What the hell? What's going on?
Oh.
What is going on? This is a difficult question. This is a very difficult question.
This was
Yeah.
a 1 out of 3.
I would have known. No, I would not have
God
known.
damn it.
Let's go. One last chance. We can get up to $7.50 skin.
Last time I did it, I got all the way through. God damn it.
Let's see. Last question. Who of the following players
Juan
attended
Ufatru.
the least majors? Was it Jax, Jabbi, or Juan Flatero? I love how it's all J's, but it's pronounced completely differently. I love
Jax, Jabbi, Juan.
One.
And by the way, Juan's name is spelled wrong.
I love that name because like the old TV screens, Flatron. You know the thick one. No, it's before your time. You're
Yeah,
too young
before
for
my
that.
time, probably. Okay, so these majors, I think Jax played in a few majors for sure. Jabbi played. Wait, maybe Jabbi. Because I know Juan Flatero has been into at least 2, maybe 3 majors even. Jax as well.
I don't
I'm
think
gonna
it's
sound
Jax.
stupid.
I don't think it's Jax.
I think it's Jabbi. I'm locking Jabbi in because he's a young, great player.
Let's see the answer.
It might be Jax, no?
God
No,
damn
no,
it.
Okay.
You got
I got a Mark 7.
annihilated
God damn
by
it.
these questions.
God damn
The
Jay.
correct answer is Juan Flatero. I have to say you tried your best.
But how many majors has Jabbi attended?
Well, he was in Stockholm at Copenhagen Flames. He was in Antwerp with Copenhagen Flames, and then
Oh
he's
yes.
been, and then he
Okay.
was with Heroic.
Let me see. So the winner of the giveaway is Viases.
Enjoy Mark 7.
Like 2.5
God.
Euro skin. But yeah, let me check. So I'm dying. Juan Flatero, 3 majors and 4 for Jabbi. Could have
I knew
been
Juan
Jax.
Flatero was
I mean,
3
I don't think
majors.
Jax has that many more either, to be honest.
no, Jax has like the
But you have to
20.
remember, like, I mean, he started like Berlin was his first one, I'm pretty sure. And then
Ka-
he was
that's
COVID,
true.
so
he
I
has
think that's
4.
I think he only has the same as so Katowice. Oh no, he was in Katowice.
Katowice, Berlin, Stockholm, and Antwerp.
Okay, so he has 4 as well. Okay, so I missed Katowice.
Ooh. Okay, we wrapped up the show. We're not gonna go into super details about Blast. Like it's gonna be a fun tournament to watch. Some new rosters, some, as I said, dead and undead rosters. Navi phase, I think everyone's pretty excited about. Heroic with Cadian for the last time, kind of fun. Complexity, I think, are pretty exciting with their kind of rise. They went to the final in Sydney, and then there are other teams. Vitality with Messi, pretty hype. So
It's going to be an interesting tournament, actually.
yeah, pretty.
Anyone's to win besides
Yeah.
FaZe. FaZe can win this easily. Not easily, but they probably have the highest chance of winning.
They're the favorites for sure, but there's
God damn it. It's always FaZe. But we always beat them.
So Justinas. People are saying in chat, pretty hype name. It's kind of like this Greek warlord.
Warlord.
Yeah. Or like
goddamn
demigod or something.
But you know what you call me in the team?
Yeah.
Justic. It's just a soft way of pronouncing my name.
What's the deal? Is that who originated these nicknames to the?
I never introduced myself as Justinas or Justinas to people. I don't know why. I just don't like when people call me Justinas. So when they said, "Oh, what should we call you?" and I said, "Okay, you shouldn't call me JL for sure. You shouldn't call me Justin. Justic. It's nice." And they were like, "Yeah, Justic sounds good. Very easy to say." Okay. And then it stuck to me.
What are you? Do you have any final words? Something that you want to share with people before we close out the show?
Ooh. Actually, yes. I feel like I've been getting a lot of support lately, and ever since I joined NAVI or even Apeks, there's been a lot of people that support me, and I'd like to say thank you. I feel like it's a bit undeserved to some extent, but I'd like you to keep supporting us, the NAVI boys, because we're truly trying our best to be the best version of us. And yeah, don't give slack to our players because it's not nice.
Are you gonna go into the forums and argue with people and tell them to shut the fuck up?
No. I'd like to create an account and something say, "Hey, bro, what the fuck are you saying?" But I've stopped reading comments. I don't know why on HLTV. I haven't visited like a thread in such a long time.
I feel like you'd be the nicest like clapbacks. There would be like the nicest clapbacks from you at the forums, man.
The most
It
passive
would be like
aggressive ones.
you'd make people feel bad about themselves, you know, because
Yes,
like for being
that's the
assholes.
best. Judge, like my girlfriend has told me numerous times that I'm not really an aggressive person, but whenever I do speak and I mean harm, it hurts a lot. And yeah, so I tend to avoid that. But on HLTV, if anyone wants to battle, make a friend.
Okay, JL, come here. That's how it goes. Someone actually made a thread about pink headsets and was upset about it. So, but it was
How can you
actually
get upset?
deleted. It was actually deleted because it was kind of.
Can they delete their own threads?
I mean, I can.
Okay. So people who made the thread, they cannot delete it.
The mods deleted it because it was kind of just insulting. It was an insulting thread. But you triggered people with your pink headset. That's what I'm gonna say.
Mine headset?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's how low people stoop, by the way.
That was very, very fun show. We had some technical issues at the beginning, but we forgot about it. It went very smooth from there on out. We'll all be in Copenhagen in a few days, enjoying the amazing weather and the sausages or whatever, the poles down
sausages.
there. I don't know, the hot dog.
It is a hot dog, kind of, yeah.
The pools, yeah.
Yeah, that
Copenhagen.
one.
Yeah, they have.
I mean, it's just a Danish thing, yeah.
I meant pools as in swimming pools.
No.
I'm like, what are you talking about?
No, it's like their version of a hot dog.
No, but people also do like the swimming in the sea or there. I have to say,
I'd like to try that.
I was once me and Bersha were like exploring Copenhagen. First time that we went there, we went down to by the opera house and shit, and we saw 3 girls jumping into the water. They had no bra. They were naked.
Oh.
And I'm like,
did you see those balls?
I'm just saying, like,
this
is weird. Like, it's the first time here. Is this like normal just to see boobs every time you go around the city? But it's not. It seems like, or maybe it is. We'll have to find out next week.
And that's why I have to buy tickets to Blast.
Use code JL for 10% off. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you to our sponsors: 22Bet, SteelSeries, Traded GG. Gamble responsibly. Use skins responsibly. Use protect your hearing. Don't put up too loud noises. And take care of yourself and people around you. And be grateful and be nice. Goodbye.
Best esports odds, VIP program and a variety of bonuses, fast and easy withdrawals, bet on every possible CSGO matching tournament, as well as any other esports game. Only on 22Bet.
Are you tired of your boring old skins and looking for beautiful new ones? Tradeit.gg is your place to go for easy and secure trades within seconds. Simply pick and choose whatever item you want to trade from Tradeit's huge inventory. Verify the trade on Steam, and you're ready. With the lowest fees in the market and a beautiful, easy-to-use UI, Tradeit also offers you the option to instantly sell your items for cash. We accept a wide variety of payment methods. Tradeit.gg is the go-to place whenever you want to try out fancy new skins. Start trading today at Tradeit.gg.
It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. It's a good vibe, trend, 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 trend. Good vibe, trend, trend.